Hi, it's Margaret from Let's Learn to Sew, and in this video I'm going to show you how to gather. The first thing that we're going to do is come over to our sewing machine, and depending on your machine you may have a basting stitch. If you don't, you're going to take your stitch length and you want to increase it as long as it will go. So for me that is 6.0. Then you're going to want to decrease the tension on your machine all the way down to about 0 or 1. So my machine actually has a basting stitch, so I'm going to go ahead and select that. And again, it just went ahead and set my stitch length to 6.0, which I'd already showed you how to do, and decreased my tension. Now that you've got your stitch length increased and your tension decreased, we're going to take our thread tails. We want to pull them out several inches. Got my thread tails to the back. Got my fabric right about 1/4 of an inch. You want to make sure that you do not backstitch, and we're going to stitch right along the edge. Okay. This is my start spot. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and I'm going to raise my presser foot and I'm going to pull this out, and what I want is a good 3 to 4 inches, maybe even 5, and I'm going to clip my threads. Okay. Now I've got that first row of basting stitches done. I'm going to scoot in just a little bit and I'm going to do the exact same thing, again making sure that I don't backstitch at the beginning or the end. Go ahead and raise my presser foot. I'm going to pull it out again and trim my threads. Okay. Now we'll go ahead and we'll take this back over to the cutting table and I'll show you the next step. Before I get up and leave my machine, I always like to go ahead and set my stitch length and my tension back to my normal settings, which is 2.5 and about 4 to 5 for my tension. So as you can see, we have a nice long stitch length and it looks pretty loose. We also have some nice long thread tails. Now before we get going too far, the correct way to gather is to run 2 lines of stitches. When I'm in a hurry, I have gone ahead and just done one and done the same technique I'm going to show you, but if you want good control over your gathers, then you do want to run the 2 lines of stitches. So the first thing I like to do is to take a pin and I come down here and I take these thread tails and I wrap them around this pin, because when we get to pulling, I don't want these thread tails to accidentally come out and have to start all over. So I went ahead and turn this sideways so that you could get a good look at it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to space out my thread tails. I'm going to take one thread tail and we're going to gather. Take the other one and do the same thing. Keep working them down. You want to be very gentle so that you don't snap your threads. But one of the reasons, besides having better control over your gathers, for having 2 rows is if one of the threads does break, you're not going to lose all the gathers that you just made. Work through and distribute those gathers. Turn it around again and just keep doing the same thing until you have them distributed evenly and gathered to a fullness that you like. As you can see, for our little baby bonnet, it's going to be some really cute little gathers back there at the back of the bonnet. Once you have everything gathered up and spread evenly, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to take another pin. Go ahead and do the exact same thing we did at the other end. We're just going to wrap the threads around it, and that's going to keep them from coming out. Now before I take it over to my machine and I stitch it down, I like to go back and just adjust them and make sure that I'm happy with the way my gathers look. And that's just how easy it is to gather, whether you have a gathering foot or not.